Hello. Today we're going to look at a few hands played in €200 buy-in Poker Fever main event tournament that took place in Bratislava a few days ago. In the first hand we see an open from an early position with 10-9 off. I've heard that at the start there could have been some problems with RFID technology, so I give him the benefit of the doubt that he had, for example, pocket 10s here. Of course, opening 10-9 off is a bit out of line, but if everyone behind is playing way too tight, it wouldn't be that bad. Player next to act decided to 3-bet his ace-king off. This is a spot where he should have polarized range, so this is a point where he should already know what hands he is willing to stack off against 4-bet and what hands are easy folds. He still can have calling range, and all these playable hands he doesn't want to turn into bluffs can be called. I see this play very often on lower stakes. Someone raises or 3-bets, and when he faces a raise, then he freezes and starts thinking what to do. This is a semi-final table and there are ICM implications, and actually solver mixes ace-king off and calls it sometimes, because flipping for stacks on this stage isn't that great. But when it 3-bets it, it does it to always call it off. Low-jack player 4-bet his hand, and this doesn't make much sense, so much that I really think there was a problem with the hand reader, so I don't want to focus on that. But I want to comment on his sizing, and this one makes no sense. It's over 3x and he commits almost half of his stack here. He should just go all in here, or if he wants to have two sizings, then it should be much smaller. You never want to invest half of your stack and then fold, because bluffing gets very expensive, and also you put yourself in an awkward situation where you will be folding while having great odds to call. Player with ace-king took a lot of time and finally folded, and if you want to win tournaments, playing that way won't help you achieve this goal. Another hand is another ace-king and the next example of how not to play it. Hand starts with a raise from cutoff with queen 10 off. This is close to the bottom of the range, but it's completely fine, and it's even better if we don't expect enough 3-bets from players behind us. The Hungarian player just called with ace-king off on the small blind. This is a clear mistake. Solver doesn't want to call too much in this situation and is 3-betting around 3/4 of continuing range, both with smaller raises and jams. Ace-king off mixes between these two, and if you're not comfortable with playing it post-flop, I would recommend just going all in with it. This hand doesn't play so well out of position, and calling invites a big blind to the pot, so very often we'll play out of position against two players with a hand that needs to hit, and even when we hit, we might not get enough value from it. We saw two examples of weak plays, and now let's look at two examples of hands where players were overplaying weak holdings. First one starts with a raise on early position with ace-6 suited, and this is okay play, nothing to add here. The Polish player in the next seat called with pocket deuces. This isn't the best spot to flat call, because there is still one big stack in position behind him and also three reshoving stacks, so it's not that obvious that he will even see the flop. Also, he isn't that deep to rely on his implied odds when he hits his set. Solver just folds these hands, and the lowest pair that has more calls than folds is pocket 7s. Now action is on the shortest stack on the button, and he decided to jam his hand. This is a very bad play. This hand is behind both ranges of players already in the hand, with two players still to act. Because he is so short, in theory he has zero fold equity, and he will get called by all the hands that dominate him, and because Polish players shouldn't even play hands like 10-9 suited, he is literally never ahead. The Austrian player folded his ace-6 suited, and this is fine, but when action goes to the hijack, he shouldn't fold any hands. The pot is just too big, and even if the player on the button would be very tight, the price is just too good, and he is risking only around a quarter of his stack. The last hand takes place closer to the final table bubble with 11 players remaining. We see a raise from a big stack on the cutoff with queen-jack suited. He can be pretty wide here, opening more than a third of his hands. Button decided to 3-bet his jack-10 off, and again, this just isn't a good hand to do it. On this stack, with this ICM situation, he shouldn't expect many calls, because cutoff should respond mostly with jams and folds, especially because his sizing is pretty big. On this stack size in position, I would recommend a smaller one, something between 4 and 5 big blinds. He should think more about blockers than playability of the hand. It's very good to have an ace here, and if he wants to widen his range, there are plenty of suited and offsuit aces to choose from. Jack-10 off also blocks a lot of folds from our opponent, and a hand as bad as king-4 off is a better 3-bet in this scenario. Cutoff folded, and this is very bad. Queen Jack suited is just too good, and he plays against an aggressive player who is way over the line. Solver mixes all-ins and calls with this hand. This Austrian player was playing very tight and was folding very strong hands, sometimes showing them to the table. This is also a rookie mistake, because players that are aware of what's going on can take extreme exploits like 3-betting Jack 10 off here. But keep in mind that playing this way opens an easy way to counter exploits. If someone is aware of that, then he can 4-bet him like crazy and print money doing so I would recommend being very careful. I hope you liked this video. Let me know if you would like more content from lower level tournaments or should I stick to high stakes. Don't forget to subscribe and see you next time. Bye.